Howdy, welcome back to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you're a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Let's talk about arguably the most talked about team throughout the off-season leading in to 2025. It's the West Tigers. Let's have a gaze at their fixture. West Tigers preseason, they see the Bulldogs and the Parramatta Eels. Then their season kicks off against the Newcastle Knights for Friday night footy at Campbelltown Stadium in round number 1. And in round number 2 and 3, they are on the road. Round number 2, they are against the Parramatta Eels at CommBank. I know that they're calling CommBank their home throughout different stages of 2025, but they're the away side against Parramatta in round number 2. And in round number 3, they zip up to Queensland, KO Stadium, to take on the Dolphins for Saturday twilight footy. They're back at home. They're actually back at Campbelltown Sports Stadium to take on the New Zealand Warriors for Sunday twilight footy. And then to finish up the first part for 2025 is a game against the Brisbane Broncos up at Suncorp Stadium. So the Tigers, they have 3 away games, 2 home games, literally both at the same venue, which is going to be rare to say about the West Tigers consecutively throughout 2025. So 2 home games consecutively at Campbelltown, but then they've got 2 trips to Queensland and then a matchup against the Parramatta Eels at CommBank. Part number 2 for 2025 is a complete role reversal. They have 3 home games technically and 2 away games. Now, they're away to the Brisbane Broncos in round number 5, but that is the start of 2 legs where they're away from home. So it's Suncorp, and then they've got to zip up to the Hunter Valley to take on the Newcastle Knights for Sunday afternoon footy. But then they have their 3 home games in a row from round 7 through to round 9. Round 7 is the Easter Monday clash at CommBank Stadium. They are the home team on this occasion. Round number 8, it's their first game at Leichhardt Oval for 2025. They host the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks for Channel 9 Sunday afternoon footy. And in round number 9, they have a home game against the St. George Illawarra Dragons as part of Magic Round, and that contest is Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Part 2 finishes with an away trip to Victoria. They take on the Melbourne Storm for Sunday afternoon footy. That is a 2 o'clock kickoff game. And in regards to strength of opposition, there are some winnable fixtures in here for the West Tigers. There is a bit of hope here to begin with for 2025, in my opinion. And I know that I'm sort of letting loose my opinions on where the teams will finish while I'm doing these fixture videos, but I can't help it because I just see the draw for the first 10 weeks for the West Tigers, and I see them maybe even better than 50% success rate in the first 10 weeks of the competition. Part 3 is where we start to get the binoculars out and look at State of Origin coming around the corner. And Part 3 for the West Tigers begins with a Sunday twilight clash at Campbelltown against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. They then have their first bye, which is a part of the first split round of 2025. Then they're back in action up in Townsville against the North Queensland Cowboys a few days after game number 1 of State of Origin, which takes place at Suncorp Stadium. Hard to say if someone like a Jerome Luai is selected for New South Wales in this game. I don't know if he would back up in this contest. And then in round number 14, speaking of Jerome Luai, it is arguably the most anticipated game of 2025 on the entire NRL calendar. It is the West Tigers versus the Penrith Panthers from CommBank Stadium for Channel 9 Sunday afternoon footy. And that is followed up by their second bye of 2025. So Section 3 for the West Tigers sees South Sydney, Cowboys and Panthers, and 2 byes in there as well. So while the 4 points from the 2 byes is going to be nice for the West Tigers, they definitely need to get at least one win inside that third section for sure. I mean, obviously you want to go undefeated throughout it, but they've got to nab one win in against the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Cowboys, and the Penrith Panthers possibly. Part 4, after their second bye for the West Tigers, they feature on Friday Night Football at Campbelltown Stadium against the Canberra Raiders in round number 16, and this is a game that is happening a couple of days after the Perth State of Origin game, so I don't think any Origin stars will be participating in this contest. And then the West Tigers find themselves on the road for 3 straight weeks, games against Manly at Four Pines Park, Roosters at Allianz, and the Warriors at Go Media Stadium. And besides the game against Manly, the Roosters and the Warriors contests will be Origin affected. That Roosters game falls on a split round, and then the Warriors, that game is a few days after game number 3 in the State of Origin series. So Jerome Luai will be lucky to get one game in that month in part 4 for 2025 for the West Tigers. If the Tigers are alive come round number 20, oh man, there's going to be a lot of hot talk going around, but what does their run into the finals actually look like if they're alive? So their run to the final, their race to the final starts in round 20 like everybody else. They take on the Gold Coast Titans at Leichhardt Oval for Sunday afternoon footy. They then take on the Penrith Panthers for the second time in 2025 at CommBank Stadium, and that is Saturday 5:30 p.m. That is going to be just as anticipated, I am sure. The West Tigers then host the Bulldogs at CommBank Stadium Sunday afternoon footy. Then the Tigers have their final bye in round number 23. And off the back of that bye, they have back-to-back home games. Their first home game on that leg is against Manly at Allianz Stadium. And that is Sunday 2 p.m. Just try to stick to friggin' 2 next year, West Tigers. Try. And then in round number 25, they host the North Queensland Cowboys for Sunday afternoon, Channel 9 Sunday afternoon game at Leichhardt Oval. Tigers and Cowboys. And then in round number 26 and round 27, they are on the road. So their final home game of the season is in round 25 at Leichhardt Oval. Their last Campbelltown Stadium game for 2025 is back in round 16 against the Canberra Raiders on that Friday night game. But anyways, I'll move forward. I digress. Round 26, speaking of the Raiders, they are away to the Raiders down at GIO Stadium Saturday 3 p.m. And the final round of the regular season sees the Tigers make one last trip to Queensland where they take on the Gold Coast Titans at Seabus Super Stadium for Saturday 5:30 p.m. action. Looking at the West Tigers fixture, I do not mind it at all. Their origin period does get tricky, but I think that if they can have a hot start, if they can start 3-2 inside the first 5 weeks, people are really going to start raising eyebrows, man. I think there's a good energy about the Tigers this season. I think Luai will get them outside of the bottom 4, in my opinion. There's going to be so much positive energy around that club. There should be. It's about friggin' time too, just quietly. But Galvin and Luai, Coruscant and Buller, I really do like that spine. It is not the best spine in the competition like it has been muted to be over the off-season by a few people, but it's a very good spine in development. And as far as strength of opposition goes, they do take on Penrith twice, they take on Manly twice, and they take on North Queensland twice. But they're not taking on the Sharks, and they're not taking on the Brisbane Broncos twice in 2025, who both are projected to be thereabouts in the top 6 mix. And that also includes South Sydney Rabbitohs. So besides Penrith and Manly and North Queensland, the other teams that they have to take on twice, I think they can defeat twice in 2025. But there is no easy draw in the NRL. They have that tricky period, as I said, where they're on the road 3 weeks in a row, where there may not be a Jerome Luai, touch wood, obviously. I really hope the Tigers have a positive season. I really do. And I hope that front office, the head office, the internal, shut the doors and shut up in 2025. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in and continuously supporting Wobble and Jaw Sports. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you. Take care. Adios. #RidenHigh 2025.